Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Reap the Harvest live. The Deal Makers, Matt Tack and producer Pat in the mix. Gone but never forgotten. It is September 11th, folks. 19 years ago in New York City, tragedy occurred. We are still here, free, living the American dream, pursuing our goals, making our dreams come to life. Matt is back in Michigan again, rounding up those deals like a champion. If you have not signed up for the group yet, the group link is in the comments section. Hop in there. We're going to be starting to do the meetings very soon and help you guys level up your game like Matt all over the country, just dominating.
I don't know about that, but man, I'm having a good time. I had to, I guess, bask in the Cedar reflection. Even this week, man, it was just getting pounded, driving all over the place. But man, I was just listening to a few podcasts, and it just kind of takes you back by reflecting on, how important life is and how important decisions are. So, I mean, yeah, I was thinking about that even, this week on just better decisions that I can make, more relationships. I'm going through just a private spiritual study that I'm doing right now. That's just based on community, and how important community is and building that brotherhood. And that's, the basis of why we're creating Reap the Harvest community is to create that, right? Create a brotherhood and a sisterhood. It's so important to have those, and my focus is obviously the mindset, the spiritual first. I couldn't talk more about that, man. I love just working on my mind, feeding my mind with some great information. And then obviously like just changing my state of consciousness, perpetually. I want to always be in a state of consciousness where I want to be grateful. Now, the reality is I'm not going to be 100% of the time. And I was listening to a podcast with Jay Shetty the other day. I love me some Jay Shetty. And he was just saying that, you got to alter your state of consciousness just constantly. You're not going to be great at it. You're not going to be 100% all the time. But it's, he just came out with the book, Thinking Like a Monk. And when you can think of that and getting your morning routines, and honestly, I'll be completely transparent. This week has been such a struggle. I flew my kids up here on Friday. We stayed in Michigan for a few days, but the struggle was I was out of my morning routine, and how you work on yourself in the mornings, and then you serve in the afternoons, right? So I love the emphasis of a monk, right? Is that they work on themselves in the morning, because you got to work on yourself twice as hard as you work on anybody else. But then where your service comes and where your happiness and your joy, what's the word? Like permeates, maybe. There's probably a better word, but comes out is when you're in service to other. Everything you do is in service to other, right? And so when we build these multifamily communities, for instance, what we're working on now, man, it was a grind. I was at the complex early in the morning yesterday, getting contractors off the ground, getting them in play, and then obviously as we make transition to a new property management company, but just kind of going through those hurdles, right? Of various tasks that are hard, but I got to be present in the situation. But they took away from my morning routine, and I'm super excited to get back to Florida, because Florida, it's almost my safe haven, right? So I realize that I'm not going to be 100% accurate all the time, but it's when I do get off, how do I get back in? How do I shorten that time span? So I'm super excited to get back home. Try to get, in my mode again of kind of that focus. And you can do that also when you're away. I'm just trying to work through those strides, right? How do I keep that morning routine the same even when I'm away? And I find it very difficult. My kids are, I got a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 4-year-old. So, that is it's a little bit different when your baby's waking up at 4:30 in the morning and you're trying to figure things out, and you want to go to the gym or you want to run at 5, and you're just so pissed tired. It's tough to stay in that routine. So I got a number of things that I try to work on myself to get myself in the mental state that I need to. And then obviously throughout the day, just maintain that level of consciousness. And one way I redirect my consciousness is just telling my wife how thankful I am for her. Because I think that's that's a constant redirect, that's a reset, that oh damn, she was home all day with the kids, you know what I mean? There's when you're in a series of, you know, in a season of COVID, you know, unfortunately somebody has to be home, and she works full time, so I'm expecting her to work full time, watch the kids.
Right.
It's insane, you know, it's insane. It's an insane task. So
She's a damn good woman.
she's awesome, man. She's unbelievable. And I kind of want to go back real quick. We're gonna have a short one today, but just go back to obviously like how awesome this country is. I know we're going through a little bit of a season where we go through hills and valleys, right? And you know, from an empathy standpoint of kind of 9/11 brought us together. You know, and I'm really hoping that George Floyd, you know, this situation with him, that we're in a season where we're ultimately going to come together. This isn't the great divide, that our eyes would be open, that we can be empathetic, and that we can start serving other people. And that's ultimately,
I think that's the name of the game. What you just said is serving others. How can we serve others? You know, I crack my jokes and whatnot, but the most profound thing about what I do on my content is to try and make people laugh. And I don't know if that helps some people, a lot of people it does sometimes, but like, man, if we can just laugh about stuff and be thankful for how good it really is, I think it gives us a little bit of perspective, because it can always be way, 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 way worse. And I mean, we've got opportunities here in this country that no other place has, or everybody wouldn't want to move here.
Yeah. I mean,
you know what I mean?
I do agree with that. I do agree with that.
We've got plenty of work to do too. We got plenty of work to do, and we always will have work to do.
Think of it like this too. I mean,
and we talk about this stuff on our own time too. You know,
we always talk about this, but I also want to like make emphasis of never think that, you know, because it's the game of like social media. You're constantly seeing somebody else, and when you're on social media, and I get into this sometimes where I'm like, check out, right? You got to have a proper diet. I posted something about that actually this week, of just having a proper diet, TV, social media, various things. But my diet, right, doesn't want to be too much social media, because too much social media allows me to look at other people and compare, right? I don't want to compare.
Right.
You know, whether you compare to from an egotistical standpoint, oh, I'm better than this person because it can't be any worse, right? I don't want to do that either. Like, I don't want to be the top of the bottom, if you know what I mean.
Like Mark Evans says, you know, the king of the dipshits.
King of the dipshits, right? So I never want to think of myself, oh, it could be worse. I could be in this situation. I just want to look for my present state of like how I can be grateful in my current present state. I think there's a great guy out there, Mark O'Leary. He's a speaker. He was burned almost on 100% of his body, lost his digits. I think on one hand, maybe actually both hands.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So Mark O'Leary, he has an incredible story, but I think he was about 9 or 10 actually when he's
like a speaker now, right?
He's a speaker now. He can play the piano without any fingers, you know, without any digits. He can do a number of things. And why is that? Well, you know, it ultimately was his mom feeding into him that said, hey, you got a choice, son. Because he tells this unbelievable story where to his mom that he was in the hospital. He couldn't see. He had scabs all over him. And he asked his mom, he's like, Mom, am I going to die? And she's like, she turned around and asked him a question, said, son, do you want to die? And he said, Mom, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. She's like, well then, son, you got to live, and you got to live so ferociously that there's got to be every ounce of life in you, because it's going to be a lot harder. She's like, but you have to live so strong. She's like, you can live, son. So she like just spoke life into him. So then he got home from the hospital. He's in a cast and he's in a sling. And this is like a week after he had actually got home from the hospital, and a piano teacher shows up on the door. He hated playing the piano even when he had fingers. Now he doesn't have fingers. And his mom made him through the next 5 years learn how to play the piano without basic any fingers. So this man can play the piano. This man can write. He has some unbelievable stories that even go beyond that. But it's just the strength of the mind, right? And so the emphasis there is just, you can, if you're a believer and you can do anything, you absolutely can. don't think of it as like, oh, it can be worse, because that's how now Mark O'Leary doesn't think that. He doesn't think, oh, it can be
Well, I
worse.
didn't think of it like it can be worse, but I mean, maybe that's not the right terminology, but it's just like I've been in worse situations than I've been in now. How about that?
For sure. No, and
That's kind of what I meant. So, like,
Yeah.
man, boy, I remember playing on the side of the road for $40. And I remember we were at an event. I was the MC at the event. And I kind of talked about that. Like, man, when I was doing that and I told people I'll be doing business events one day, people were like, what?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, this is what it takes to get there. So maybe that's when I look back and I reflect, I'm very thankful for the opportunities that I have now, because boy, oh boy, playing on the side of the road for $40 is not glorious, my friends, but that's what it takes. That's what it takes to build the muscles and the muscle memory and the, skill that it takes to convert at a higher level. So you got to start from the ground up sometimes. So looking back, boy, I've been in some really tough situations. And so I'm thankful that it's not that right now. So maybe that's kind of what I meant by, I could always be on that street corner.
You either, that's true. Yeah, you could stay there, right?
I didn't want to stay there. The goal was to like play there and do it and get it done with and like move my way up. I was willing to do that, but I think that maybe that's where someone's at today, is that they need to put their stuff out on the side of the street corner and go for it, whether it's a lemonade stand or whatever, or film a video outside. And that's your first time on camera. And then 2 years from now, you're an international speaker. That your opportunity is created by where you want to go. You got to take that first step and be thankful for the opportunity to even take that first step, because a lot of people don't get that opportunity. So maybe that's a better way to frame that.
Yeah, creating opportunities. Yeah, no, I think that is. And yeah, I mean, it's I think we can get in a game of comparisons. And that's all.
I'm sure you can remember one of your first real estate deals. Maybe it wasn't so glorious.
Absolutely. Either
and now
one.
You got these big strip mall deals and partnerships and all these different things that you're doing. And it's like, you look back on where you were maybe house hacking for $500 and that was your first cash flow. And you're like, oh my gosh, I can multiply this in all these different markets. And now, here you are with the ability to like help other people learn those ground rules.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
pretty incredible.
That's you either win or you learn. I think John Maxwell said that maybe it's you either lose or you learn or something like that. But
and that's a Conor McGregor's coach. I think that's the name of his book.
Yeah. So I mean, ultimately, it comes down to it does. It comes down to the mindset, but ultra presence and ultra transparency, truth with self. That's a huge thing too, because you can tell yourself, like, acknowledgement with yourself that, man, I'm really good in these areas, and I actually kind of suck in these areas, but I can improve, right? And so if you're super transparent with yourself and you can acknowledge that, it's it only can benefit you. But so we kind of trailed off and tracked off a course a little bit there.
Well, a little bit, but it kind of goes back to the point that we've got an opportunity right now as a country and as people, and in this scenario that we're in, to try and find some common ground as Americans, and to I understand all the little subgroups that come with that. You've got all these different people that identify in different ways, and they want to be heard, and they deserve to be heard, and acknowledged. And I think it's important to remember that, hey, we all want necessarily similar things in the fact that we want to be valued, and we want an opportunity to win, and we want to feel like we've got an equal chance at achieving those things. And so, September 12th was the day that a lot of people really found some heart and soul in this country. So maybe we can reflect over the next couple days, especially through the weekend, and remember that America's awesome, man. And that it's the land of opportunity, and that's not just a guru quote. That's the truth.
Oh, for sure, man. Hey, we'll end on that, man. I love that.
I love it. So try and find that heart and soul this weekend, you guys. We love you. We believe in you. And you know, guys like us, we've come a long way too, and we want to help you go a long way in your life, your relationship. So, Matt, catch your flight and be safe, my friend. We'll talk to you soon.